just starting this YouTube off, and then I will start letting people in. We'll start about 5 past, is that all right?
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
Cool.
I can see there are 2 people waiting, aren't there? So.
Yeah. Oh God, it's on the go slow.
Oh,
Come
great.
on.
Oh, 3 now, gosh.
I'll pop them in. Oh no, we're working now. There we go. Admit all. There we go. Hi everybody, thanks for joining us. We're just going to wait for a few minutes until everybody gets into the chat. Feel free to have a look at the chat box, introduce yourselves, let us know who you are, and then once we're all in and we're ready to go, I will introduce our lovely speaker. We are in a meeting rather than a webinar, and we will be recording this session. So if you do not want to be seen, please do switch your camera off. The recording will be available in about 24 hours for you to watch back if you want to, or for anybody who couldn't make it. But just to make you aware that that is happening. We'll just give it a few minutes. Let us know that you are here, and then we will crack on. Hello to those of you who are just joining. We are just giving it a few minutes. We'll start about 5 past. Let us know that you are here in the chat box. Introduce yourselves, let us know where you are from. Hello to those of you who have joined us. Runcie from Birmingham City University Students' Union, thanks for joining us. We won't be long now. Just to tell you again, we are recording this session so that it can be watched back. So if you do not want to be seen, feel free to switch your camera off. It's completely up to you. Hi Claire, thanks for sending a message from Reading Students' Union. Nice to meet you. We'll just give it a couple more minutes. Hi Dan, Student Advice Manager at Exeter. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for joining us. Oh, you also volunteer with the Network for Advisors and Caseworkers in Students' Unions. Interesting. Super. We'll just give it 1 more minute, see if anyone else wants to join, and then I will introduce our speaker. Okay, let's get started. I will admit any more people that want to join us a bit later on, but thank you for joining us today. I hope you've had a nice week if you've been to any other talks with us. I'm Sophie and I am one of the staff members at Coventry University Students' Union. I'm just here to sort of help out today and make sure everything's running smoothly. I've said it already, but just a reminder, just in case anybody has just joined us, we are recording this session. It will be available on the conference website in about 24 hours, so feel free to watch it back. If you do not want to be seen, please switch your camera off, but if you're happy to, obviously stay so we can see you. It's completely up to you. What I will do now is just introduce our speaker. So we are joined today by Alan Humphreys, who is a welfare advisor at Coventry University Students' Union Advice Centre, and he's absolutely brilliant, and it's very exciting that I got given this talk. So I will hand over to Alan. I'm going to switch my camera off now. Please feel free to use the chat box all the way through. We'll be monitoring it. And I will hand over to Alan.
Okay, Sophie, thank you very much. Absolutely brilliant. Actually, seems to me to be a very kind description, but I'll take that, as I'll take any compliment I can get these days. Thank you all for attending. As it says on the tin, this is just a talk really about regional advice networks for student unions, and how useful people might think they would be for us. It's not an original idea. I do know here in the Midlands, we looked at one, or we're looking at one, back in December. There was an initial meeting that took place at Wolverhampton. Unfortunately, because of COVID and the person who was driving that moving to a different job, it has stalled. But I've always been interested in the concept. To give you a little bit about an idea of my background, I do come from a legal background. I've worked at student unions for 9 years. 2 years here at Coventry University Students' Union and 7 years at Birmingham City University Students' Union. So I've got a bit of experience in the HEI sector, as well as other advice areas as well. CAB, a bit of legal back in the day, although that's so long ago, the law has probably changed quite a bit. So what I was looking at was the idea of setting up regional networks, regional advice centre networks in different areas of the country. NASMA, another organisation I'm involved with, does regional money advice work, like North, Northwest, Midlands, and I'm involved in the Midlands setup, and what people's thoughts were on that, because from my perspective, we all do very similar work. Obviously, there are geographical differences, there are academic differences, certainly. Every university's academic regulations are different in many ways, some similarities, but lots of differences. So what I wanted to do was to find out whether there were areas of good practice we could share, and what we could do to take that forward, and set up one in, say, an area. The Midlands obviously is where I'm from. Use that as a sort of a dummy run to test to see if it could work in other areas of the country as well. So that's pretty much where I'm coming from. One thing I should have said at the start is I am visually impaired, so if you are trying to attract my attention, don't think I'm ignoring you. You know, I might not spot the little hand going up on these Zoom meetings. You might be better off waving at me, I think, but whatever. I would like to, it says it's a talk, but it is a talk, but it's a talk between all of us rather than me leading or dictating on the talk. So if I could throw it open to you all to see what your initial thoughts are. Anybody want to kickstart this? I'm looking around.
Hi, Alan. If it's okay, I think it's probably worth me giving a little bit of an update on where we are with the ACSU network.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Thank you. Yeah.
So around November last year, I got in touch with NUS and with a handful of people I knew in different students' unions to ask if there would be interest in exactly what you're describing. And we got quite a lot of positive kind of reaction to the idea of having a network established for advisors and caseworkers in SUs, which was a bottom-up network that started with regions and then built everything else from that. We put word out around February time, maybe March, looking for volunteers who could run that, and who might take on a role either volunteering with us nationally or regionally. So we're actually due to launch the network as part of NUS's Celebrating Communities week from the 10th of August, and we now have volunteers for coordinating each of the regions of the UK, with Northern Ireland as the only exception, where we haven't had anyone come forward, as well as groups for advice service managers, lone worker advisors, and advisors who do a lot of work with students on professional programs. So we're in quite an exciting place and ready to launch. And if I can kind of jump on your great work in setting this up, anything that people have as observations for what they want to see from us would be immensely valuable to me and to the other volunteers we have within the network.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I think it's more of a question of it being the other way round, and it was kind of like me jumping on the great work that you're doing, because it strikes me that it's there. And I mean, I've missed this, and obviously for whatever reason, you know, we didn't pick up on it at that particular point in time. But to me, there doesn't seem any point in duplicating anything. And if it sounds to me that what you're doing is already there, so it would be a much easier fit. I don't know what others think. To work with you, and I'd certainly be very much interested in. This is something I've always been interested in for a very long time, way before I, you know, suggested this as a topic of discussion for this. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, again, it's depending on what other people think, but I think what I'm hearing from you is kind of what I hoped it would develop. But you're already 3 parts of the way there, aren't you? If not even further. So that's fantastic. You know, I'm really, really happy about that, because I just think we all have a lot of knowledge. There's a lot of accumulated knowledge there at the moment, but that has gone there over a period of years as well. And I know NASMA does it. I know AXU do it. I can remember certainly going to the AXU list back in the day, as they say, for information. So, you know, and to me, doing this and doing it in a different way to how we did it, say back in 2012 when I first started doing this, has got to be a good thing, not only for us but for students also. Anybody else, any thoughts? So where are you at with it at the moment, Dan?
Sorry, I was muted. So we have a team of 4, 6, 8, 10, 13 volunteers now, who are set up to coordinate each of the regions, and then the 3 thematic groups I mentioned, and I'm sort of facilitating that from a sort of coordination perspective. We are about to launch a website on NUS Connect, which will be available both to those who have a Connect account and to those who don't, so that staff who aren't in affiliated unions are still able to get our information. And essentially, we're now at the point where we're asking the regional coordinators to start reaching out to staff across their regions to put on an initial networking event, and where we are preparing to start writing to sector stakeholders, so organizations like NASMA, to say, actually, this is a network that we're now re-establishing, and we'd welcome a channel of communication, and possibly with some of those organizations, we'd welcome a regular kind of program of meetings to discuss what we're hearing from caseworkers across the country. I think we've done a fair bit of the work in terms of establishing that network, but where the real challenge comes for us is then in making sure we have complete information for who we should be talking to within unions. Because you know, you certainly won't have been the only person who hasn't seen the communication that we've put out. We are constantly finding new people who we assumed would have heard who hadn't. So that's very likely on us, and certainly not on you. But that process of reaching out and involving everyone who is interested is very much what we want to do next. So we're looking forward to working with NUS to put communications out about the events that we'll have in the week beginning 10th of August, and trying to get a really good turnout at those events.
Do you have details of the? I mean, again, this is going back to me missing it, and I'm sorry to the rest of you. It looks like we're having a one-to-one discussion. Please feel free to jump in at any time you want. It's, you know, I said at the start of this to Sophie, who's helping to organise it, that this was very new to me at the start of this process, and I always now find myself, when I'm doing these meetings, looking at the person on the screen that I'm speaking to, very conscious that it doesn't really matter. But so if it looks like we're having a one-to-one discussion, please feel free to jump in at any point. So because I personally am finding this very useful. As I say, you mentioned about events on the 10th of August, and I haven't, to my great shame, seen anything about that.
So we haven't shared anything yet.
Thank goodness for that.
But what we're planning to do in that week is to host a series of events. So one for each region, one for the Managers Network, one for the Loan Workers Network, and one for the Professional Programs Network, where the person coordinating that group will facilitate a networking session to bring people in that area together, and where we'll use NUS, we'll use our website, and we'll use our channels that we've built up with individual caseworkers, services, unions, to try and get the word out as widely as possible about that relaunch. We don't have a sort of prescriptive agenda for what we're asking volunteers to do with those meetings, because we want to hear from the people who are parts of those networks what they'd like them to be.
So that's good. And I mean, will you be sharing that sort of fairly imminently?
Yeah, I mean, if the delay in sharing that has been me and me being buried in academic appeals, so dropping the ball a little bit. But certainly next week I would hope we're able to put a fair bit of information out about what we're planning to do.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that would be very useful, and I'd be very interested in being involved in that as well, because driving something like this, and if work's already done, then, like I said earlier, it's as good to be involved and not try to reinvent the wheel, I think is the phrase, so yeah. And as for being buried in academic appeals, get that one completely at the moment. So just seem to have replaced emergency fund applications anyway, at least for the very near future. I'm very conscious that me and Dan have said a bit. Does anybody else want to say anything? Please don't feel for a single second that you have to.
Sorry. Hello.
Hello.
I was going to ask where you were going to advertise where the information's going to go out, because we had issues with Workplace that a lot of our advisors couldn't access it. So if it was going out on Workplace, then that's not going to reach a lot of my team. Just wondered what channels you were using.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I would really appreciate ideas for where we should put it out. At the minute, we're putting our information out through Workplace, through the Advice UK LinkedIn group for Students' Union Advice Centres, and through individual contacts who our volunteers have. But if there are other places that would be good, or if anyone wants me to pass their details onto the relevant coordinators, I'd be delighted to do that.
Thank you. I have heard of the networks, and I think I was scheduled to attend some of the meetings, but I've got kids at home and it's just not worked out quite how it was. And I know there is an Advice UK LinkedIn group, but I've not kind of engaged with that, so I'm just kind of using Workplace. But I am part of NASMA, so if it would be useful for messages to be shared on NASMA, I'm sure you've got other contacts for NASMA as well, but I'm sure I'd be happy to repost something if that would be useful.
That would be excellent. I'm very new to doing finance advice. I was previously kind of specialized around academic advice, so I'm actually only making tentative first steps in getting to know NASMA. So if there's anything that can be shared through that network, that would be excellent.
I mean, on that point, I'm NASMA's current Vice Chair of Finance, so you can certainly put anything that you want to do through there to me, and I'll make sure that gets passed on. But you can share my details for this as well, to the various groups, because I certainly think that I'd like to be involved, and we'd like to be involved as a union as well. By virtue of doing this, I think that CUSU is supportive of it, so we'd certainly like to be involved. So yes, that would be really good. But anything for NASMA, you can put it through me to start with. And you know, I'm on the board. If it's allocated to somebody else, we'd just let you know. But I'm sure they'd be happy for me to do it at the moment.
That's fantastic. Thank you,
Yeah.
Alan. Are there other places we should be promoting this that people are aware of?
Anybody else want to chip in?
Yeah. Okay. Hello.
Yeah. Hiya.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting to be part of this. I really do not work directly in the advice team in my SU. I actually work as the vice president, student voice. But I know that the advice center is really related with my role because it has to do with feedback and getting to know and stuff like that. Yeah, but I'm also really concerned about how, you know, you can send this information to ensure that my uni as well is part of it, because we have a fantastic advice team. I've been doing a lot of work, especially during this COVID-19. We've been very, very active, engaging with students about rent and a whole lot of other issues. But I think it might be good to find different ways. I don't know how you can do that, but have to think around finding different ways to also ensure that my university is also part of this. Could be a good opportunity to share learning. And interesting to also know that Alan have been in Birmingham City for over 9 years.
Yeah, 7 years run. So yes, you're right. You have a very good union. It must be good. It got rid of me. So no, yes, you're right. And I mean, we need to actually obviously make sure that the information gets to as many people as possible. As Dan said, he's probably finding out about more and more people every day that we need to tap into, and there are a wide range of sources out there now for sharing information like this as well. And I mean, I can think of, you know, we've got NASMA, we've mentioned LinkedIn. You know, there are others, you know, in some senses to a certain degree of Moshi as well, but you know, it's wise to put it out there and to make it as widely known about as possible. But I mean, certainly we've got the contact details for the people taking part in this session. So that's a few added extras, and then we've all got other contacts out there that we can cascade the information to as well. So anybody that's here won't get missed, I'm sure. If you're happy for us to share your details with Dan or me, then I'm sure we could pass that on. Okay. Does anybody else have anything that they want to?
How can we share our contact? Do we put it on the chat box, or you already have it through the registration?
I think we have it through registration. I don't know if Sophie's sitting in the background and she can answer that question for me. It's the first time I've done anything like this. It's a very new thing for me. But I think we have the details through registration, yes. Because you would have
should, sorry, Alan, we should have it through registration.
Yeah.
So because we know who was in this this chat, we can obviously look at that. If you did want to share it in the chat, there's nothing wrong with that, though. You can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should have them.
Yeah. Thanks, Sophie. I appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll make sure. I'm sure Dan. I say we. You know, but I'm sure Dan will make sure that the information gets passed on to people.
Yeah, I posted my email as well, and what I can do, it looks very untidy, the chat message I've just drafted, so I'm just tidying, formatting, and I'll post the details of all of our existing volunteers so that you know who to contact in your region if you're interested in getting involved, or who you'd like to contact in terms of one of our thematic groups as well. So I'm just tidying that up, and then I'll post it in a second.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. While you're doing that, I'll again just quickly check whether anybody else wants to add anything, or please don't feel that you have to. You know, because I don't believe in taking up people's time if there's no need to. If work is already being done on this, I think it's far better to link into that rather than trying to set up something that is new that would take months, and it's already there. Sounds like it's already there. I'm a little bit embarrassed not to know about it, to be honest, but hey ho, that wouldn't be the first time, and it won't be the last either. So, you know, unless just check something for me. That's great, Dan. Thanks for that. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yep. Unless anybody's got anything they wanted to add, or any questions they wanted to ask, I feel we could end the call if that's okay with everybody. Okay. Well, just like to take you on behalf of KUSU, thank you all for attending this afternoon. I look forward to working with as many people on this and taking it forward as is possible in the future. Thanks, Dan, for what you did this afternoon. That's really helped me enormously. And at least I can offer some feedback now that this is an idea that is going forward, and I'm really pleased about that as well. It's been something I've wanted to be involved in for a number of years. So thank you for that. So, yep. Okay, thank you everybody, and have a good afternoon and a good weekend, whatever it is you're doing.
Thank you very much for doing this, Alan.
Cheers, appreciate that, thank you.